I am a high school student and a proud young reporter for the environment, a program implemented by the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, chaired by Her Royal Highness Princess Al. She then, well, okay, I'll stick with the I. Because it's a bit confusing, I'll stick with the I. So again, I am Murjana for this next few minutes. I must thank the Mohammed VI Foundation and Royal Highness for providing Moroccan youth with such education, but also providing it with opportunities, as my proper example illustrates. However,
I stand
I
before you
stand before
today
you today
not
not
just as a
just
young
as
reporter for the environment, but as a representative of a generation that is inheriting a planet in crisis. We are the inheritors of a world scarred by climate change, polluted oceans, and dwindling resources. But we are also inheritors of a spirit of resilience, innovation, and a fierce love for our planet. Amen comment. She writes quite well, doesn't she? Back to Marjana. Today, I want to speak for the forests that whisper warnings in the wind, for the fish scream in the depth of the oceans with the pain of plastic pollution, for the glaciers that melt in silence. They tell us a story of neglect, of a relentless pursuit of progress at the cost of our planet's well being. We have the power to rewrite the narrative. We have the energy, the creativity, the technological prowess to build a future where clean air isn't a privilege but a right. Well, Amen comment, the right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment has been recognized as such in the last few years. So I think there'll be great news for Morjana to see how that is further implemented. When renewable energy powers our homes and industries, where sustainable practices guide our every single step, we need policies that protect our planet. We need policies where polluters are held accountable. We need your unwavering commitment to build a livable future for all generations. As for us youth, we need to be fully aware of the impact we could potentially have and the irreversible repercussions that may occur if we don't act now. To sum up, concrete public-private sectors and youth-led projects are the key to a good healing process of our bruised world. Therefore, the context of today's side event is basically to bring together diverse stakeholders, including government representatives, private sector actors, NGOs, and young climate delegates in order to assess the progress and impact of climate action initiatives. This side event aims to evaluate the effectiveness of climate action policies and projects implemented by both public and private sector in addition to youth. It also aims to showcase the successful results, highlight some challenges they might have faced, and eventually identify opportunities for collaboration and improvement. Today, we'll be fostering dialogues and discussions, sharing, therefore, experiences, testimonies, accomplishments, then suggestions of solutions while addressing climate change. A round of applause for Morjana in her abstention. I think that was a great speech. Thank you very much. And that's just the start of the treat, because we'll be enjoying, as was mentioned by Morjana, some amazing intervention. And as the first of them, we are particularly honored and delighted to be in a position to hear keynote remarks from Ms. Gabriela Ramos, who is the Assistant Director General for Social and Human Science of UNESCO. Her agenda includes the achievement of social inclusion and gender equality, advancing youth development, promotion of values through sports, anti-racism and anti-discriminatory agenda, and ethics of artificial intelligence. Her appointment at UNESCO allows you to continue supporting an agenda of inclusive growth and the respect of human rights and human dignity. Thank you very much, Excellency, for being with us today. I'm happy to give you the podium. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayman and Mortana. And great to be with you, and great to be with the partners in this presentation, but also with the youth climate activists. I'm actually joined here with Manon Frasul, who is the coordinator of our youth CAN network that gathers together more than 100,000 young people around the world. And as Ayman has just said, we need all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck, and we are always encouraged by the youth action, but we're also pushing for more private sector-led investments. And we know that we need the private sector-led investments. So I think that the way that the Mohammed VI Foundation has framed this is the right one. How do we trigger more action? And how do we encourage more action in this sense? We know that non-state actors, including civil society and young people, have emerged as effective actors to push for climate. There are some people there negotiating the outcomes. We, of course, are all doing all the pressure that we can do, but then we can also advance our own contribution to this very important goal of humanity to debar ourselves from carbon and have a more sustainable growth. Let me tell you that we have been looking, because as Ayman mentioned, I am in charge of the youth agenda at UNESCO, and we have been tracking how much youth-led action can really scale up and be more disruptive than traditional activities by the elders, or the elders, as we call them. We have very interesting studies like the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor that has confirmed that youth-led startups are more likely to introduce disruptive technologies and business model compared to the others. This is confirmed. So if we have this willingness to be much more disruptive, why don't we invest more in them? Aisha, why don't we go more to support youth-led action? A UNEP study shows also that sustainable startups led by young entrepreneurship achieved 37 decrease in their carbon footprint compared to other initiatives led by the markets. 37 more decrease in carbon footprint. It's just huge. And therefore, I think it's a non-starter to look at how to support these initiatives. But yet, accessing finance is a major challenge for youth-led firms, because we know that 82% of youth-led initiatives require a loan for launching their activities, and many times navigating the financial system is not a natural skill that we all have as a given. We need to understand how this works, and we need to understand how do we access financing. The Global Stocktake report and the COP28 offer a pivotal opportunity to correct course and accelerate global climate action. We need more policy ambition, and we need the private funds, as I said, and innovation to meet the climate goals. We know that private sector-led investment in climate needs to scale up massively. The IMF had made very interesting analysis and called for an increase from 40 to 90% of the total investment by 2030. So everybody has something to do. The young people need to know how to present their initiatives and scale them up. The foundations calling on us, and international institutions that can produce the evidence, but then the private sector and the financing needs to flow where it's going to have more investment. So I'm very glad that we are here sharing with you this important discussion. Now, what UNESCO is there to do? And actually, I was looking at the kind of support that you are providing to all these youth-led initiatives, and I'm glad to report to you that last year, member states of UNESCO approved a youth grant scheme to support youth-led initiatives with environmental or social impact. Because what we have seen also is that the younger generation are not just there to advance their own well-being and their own economic gains, but they also want to have impact. And therefore, we launched this Global Youth Grant Scheme and a multi-donor special account. We have been already grant 10,000 euros per initiative in Latin America. That was our pilot project, but we will continue to do so in the other regions. We had our youth forum that we have been celebrating for more than 22 years, every general conference. And I have to say, I have been in UNESCO for the last 3 years, but the youth-led forum had been there for the last 22 years, which is amazing, because it shows the commitment of UNESCO. It's not just the fashion of the day. We have been supporting and engaging with youth for the last decades, and not only inviting them to come and have a side event, but to invite them to be with the general conference and deliver their messages. And guess what? The main message is about climate. The main message is, why don't we do more? Why do we have all this climate anxiety by youth? Why do they have perspectives? Why are they depressed? Let's do something. And I think this was a very strong message that we received from them. And I promised I was going to bring them to you. So that's exactly what I'm doing in the COP28. And we also selected 5 youth-led projects from Argentina, Jordan, Malawi, Nepal, and Slovenia to be supported by the Youth Grant Scheme. And finally, as I said, We have our UNESCO Youth Climate Action Network, UCAN. Manon is here with us. She will be in the panel. But this is a network representing active youth community of more than 100,000, well, 105,000 young people from over 184 countries across 28 member networks. So UCAN is a super powerful force. I'm glad that we have them spearheading strong messages in terms of action, but also doing themselves what they can to get the information and the analysis that we need to move faster. So great to be with you. Thank you so much for inviting us and looking forward to the discussions.
Thank you very much for these inspiring remarks. And at the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection, we are so delighted to have such a strong partnership with UNESCO, and we are also very supportive of YouthCan as engaging in that process. Thank you very much. And regarding the figure that you quoted, 105,000, I have a connection in my mind, and that is how many people are in the blue zone currently registered 105,000. So it is really crowded, but you basically have a cup on your own to manage on a daily basis throughout the year to your amazing work. So congratulations for all this important and amazing results. And I also, when you were mentioning about how deep and historic the engagement of UNESCO is with youth, that reminded me of something that I discovered recently. I've been looking towards the Summit of the Future that is taking place next year. So I've been looking a bit more into the future generations, rights of future generation, etc. And I discovered the UNESCO Declaration on the Responsibility of the Present Generations towards Future Generations that was adopted back in 1997. So again, UNESCO leading the way when it comes to this important agenda. Thank you very much. Our next keynote speaker is another dear partner from the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection. Ms. Christina Madsen is the International Coordinator of Education responsible for the Eco Schools program at the Foundation for Environmental Education based in Copenhagen in Denmark. As the International Coordinator for Education, Christina leads that program at the head office, and she manages several international ESD projects, campaigns, and events, including FEE's participation in COPs and courses on the FEE Academy. Christina, the floor is yours. Thank you. Under your applause, please, to give some energy. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm actually here speaking on behalf of FEE's president, Leslie Jones, who unfortunately also couldn't be here, but she's attending the Greening Education Partnership launch, and she's actually welcoming Her Royal Highness Princess Lala Hasna at the FEE booth. So I will try to step into her shoes and deliver the speech that she has written for the session today. So, delighted to join our esteemed member in Morocco, the Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection. We are at a highly significant moment in the history of our planet. Our world is facing a climate and nature crisis that is claiming thousands of lives globally. The frequency and intensity of floods, droughts, forest fires, and tropical storms are on the rise. According to UNICEF's recently released Children's Climate Risk Index, 1 billion children, that's nearly half of all children in the world, are at an extremely high risk of the impacts of climate change. However, in the face of such daunting challenges, it is young people who are rising to the occasion, challenging the status quo and demanding accountability. Youth engagement brings fresh perspectives, urgency, and innovative solutions, ensuring a more inclusive and sustainable approach to addressing both local and global problems. It is crucial that we, as a society, provide the resources and platforms necessary for young people to thrive as environmental advocates. The next decade will be our final chance to avert a climate catastrophe, turn the tide on pollution, and reverse biodiversity loss. That is why the Foundation for Environmental Education launched our strategy, Gaia 2030, focusing all our work through our projects and programs on empowering climate action, protecting global biodiversity, and reducing environmental pollution. For over 30 years, FEE has used the same structured and respected approach, supporting young people to lead processes of inquiry, engagement, and change on their own environmental and climate change challenges. This is happening outside formal education via our Young Reporters for the Environment Leadership Program, in which nearly 500,000 students in 43 countries have undertaken their own investigations to find solutions to local challenges and share these in films, articles, and photographs. It is also happening within all levels of formal education through our student-led eco-schools and eco-campus learning about forest programs, engaging around 20 million students in more than 80 countries. Through FEE's place-based and project-based learning frameworks, these young people are forming local partnerships to identify priority challenges, co-creating innovative solutions which improve conditions and learning environments, and inspiring their peers with new skills and knowledge. Furthermore, by involving local communities, the projects they create are improving lives and livelihoods beyond the school. What we have found is that by integrating substantial climate action projects using ESD pedagogy in schools, not only are climate change barriers affecting education being removed, for example, through projects on safe water, food production, improved sanitation, and local sustainable livelihood initiatives, but the quality of teaching and learning is also being transformed. Having seen the benefits of this approach in all types of education contexts, we have been advocating for many years for universal quality climate education to be expanded and mainstreamed throughout educational systems worldwide. Last year at COP27 in Egypt, FEE helped organize the longest nonstop relay ever attempted, stretching over 40 days across 18 countries, with over 10,000 people of all ages running, cycling, hiking, sailing to bring our call from Glasgow to Sharm el-Sheikh. And along the way, we gained 800,000 signatures for this call. Since COP27, our commitment has shifted from advocacy to concrete actions. Behind the scenes, we've been working diligently with UNESCO and many other partners on the Greening Education Partnership. This initiative will mainstream ESD practices and content in education systems in order to prepare every learner to be climate ready and equipped with the necessary skills to address climate challenges. In recognition of our foundational work, FEE has been entrusted as a co-lead of the Greening Education Partnership Pillar 1 on greening schools, alongside the Aga Khan Foundation and the World Food Programme. We are also supporting Pillar 4 on greening communities through our YRE program. FEE wishes to harness the opportunity presented by the Greening Education Partnership in order to reach more young people, more schools, and in more countries where communities, nature, and education is under threat from climate change. COP28 must be a clear turning point, an urgent call to collective action. With children and young people assuming a central and leading role, we can use the Greening Education Partnership as a platform to reshape global education systems, ensuring that every young person can play a role in creating a sustainable and equitable future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. I'll now be inviting our panel to join me at the front of the stage, representing a very impressive and inspiring array of partners, of leading stakeholders in this important agenda. So the first speaker I'd like to invite, in no particular order, but of course I would like to invite the representative from the Ministry of National Education, Mr. Mbarak Mzen, who's a specialist in econometrics and governance of the education system and the head of the Department for the Promotion of Social Cultural Activity at the Moroccan Ministry of National Education, Preschool and Sport. He's also responsible for national coordination of educational programs on the environment and sustainable development. Mr. Mzen, Tfaddal Sidi. Our next panelist is Ms. Aisha Al-Mazraoui, who's an analyst for youth and community at the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi, a role she has held since June 2020. In 2019, she was assigned as project manager for the Sustainable Campus Initiative. She has been Green Youth Mejlis lead since the same year, Youth Council member of the same office since 2022, and Youth Environmental Education Conference 2024, and Youth Committee lead in 2023 and 2024. You have a strong passion for the environment and empowering the younger generation, encouraging them to work for environmental sustainability, and you possess a brilliant knowledge of environmental sustainability. We are particularly honored to have you with us today. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next speaker, also a dear friend of mine and a partner of the foundation, Diana Galstiska, who's with IUCN. She is in the steering committee of the Commission for Education and Communication at IUCN. She has dedicated about 10 years of her career to academic work, most of which teaching her course on sustainable business development. Your engagement in climate work started 7 years ago as a member, and since 2018 as the steering committee co-chair at Coalition Wild. You are also you were in 2022 a youth task force member at Stockholm Plus 50, and you have actively engaged at COP17, COP27 in speaking engagement at this high-level event. Please join us. Thank you. Then Ms. Manou Frezoul has already been introduced, but I'll do my job as a moderator and introduce her more formally. You're a French specialist on climate change, international relations, and meaningful youth engagement. You hold the master's degrees, plural, in international relations and international law. You have been coordinating UCAN, that was introduced before, since 2019. You have supported the development of future-proof education, research, and innovation on different domains such as health, well-being, digitalization, climate change, and I lost where I was. That's a long list, so actually my iPad crashed a bit. There you are, I'll cut it again. So I was on climate change, energy, circular economy, and equity across the European University Alliance. Thank you very much for being with us. We also have with us Zineb Jaudet, who's an ambassador at the African Youth Climate Hub. You're an intersectional activist, creative strategist. I'll have to ask you, what does that mean? How does one get to be a creative strategist, a senior partner at GUV Consulting? You have consulted across industry with Fortune 500s and worked alongside youth activists, business leader, nonprofit, policymaker to develop data-driven strategies, build strong communities, and drive change. Your belief that there should be more representation from youth, and particularly from underrepresented communities. You believe in power of community diversity and intersectionality. And lastly, but certainly not least, next speaker is Ms. Marta Neskovic, who you are representative from Youth for Sustainability Initiative associated with MASTA. I have less content to introduce you, so I'll invite you when I'll be asking you to introduce yourself in a bit more detail, if that's okay with you. Thank you again, and a big round of applause to this amazing panel. Very diverse as well, as I can see, a very diverse panel, I have to say. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I believe the first speaker, Sim Zen, you have a presentation you want to share with us? Thank you. So if you'd like to come here, and let us make sure that we project your presentation. Thank you. So dans la CD, on va faire la présentation. It's okay?
Excellent. صباح الخير عليكم جميعا. شكرا السيد مدير المركز الدولي للتكوين الحسن الثاني للتكوين في البيئة. شكرا للحضور الكريم. اسمحوا لي بداية أن أتقدم يعني بعرض مقتضب حول مبادرة إدماج التنمية المستدامة في منظومة التربية والتكوين بالمملكة المغربية التي ترعاها وزارة التربية الوطنية والتعليم الأولي والرياضة. بداية هناك مجموعة من الأسس والمنطلقات التي تنبني عليها هذه المبادرات، والتي تعد في 5 نقاط أساسية. هو أولا انطلاق من الواقع البيئي للمحيط محليا، إقليميا، جهويا ووطنيا، ثم اعتبار أن التواصل والإعلام والتوعية البيئية رديفا أساسيا للعملية التربوية النظامية داخل المدرسة وخارجها. أساسا الاعتماد على فكرة ما يسمى بالتكامل البيئي، بانطلاق من فكرة أن البيئة لا تعرف الحدود، بكونها يعني موضوعا مستعرضا يمس جميع المجالات الحياة، بكونها وعلاقته يعني الأساسية بموضوع التربية والتكوين، ثم استحضار الواقع الاقتصادي والاجتماعي والثقافي، والأخيرا هناك مراعاة الفروق الفردية خاصة في مجالات يعني بين التلاميذ والطلبة، وكذلك المجالية بينما كل ما هو أوساط يعني حضرية وقروية وغيرها. بالنسبة للمداخل الإدماج في منظومة التربية والتكوين، يعني هناك 4 مداخل أساسية. المدخل الأول هو ما يخص المنهاج الدراسي الذي بالنسبة لوزارة التربية الوطنية يعني حرصت في مجموع من الاوراش الاصلاحيه للمنظومه التربيه والتكوين على ادماج هذا مكون البيئه والتنميه المستدامه في مختلف البرامج والاسلاك التعليميه والمكونات المنهاجيه، والتي من ضمنها الكتاب المدرسي يعني والذي يتضمن مجموعه من التيمات والدعامات والانشطه التعليميه التي تسعى الى تنميه المعارف وترسيخ ثقافه التنميه المستدامه في النفوس الناشئه وحفزهم على تبني سلوكات ايجابيه تجاه هذه البيئه. المدخل الثاني هو الرفع من قدرات الاطر التربويه، لان التكوين الاساس وكذلك التكوين المستمر بالنسبه للاستاذات والاساتذه كان يعني كمدخل اساسي بالنسبه لهذا الادماج، والذي يتضمن يعني ادماج مصوغات نظريه ومعرفيه في مجال البيئه والتنميه المستدامه في التكوين الاساسي لهم، وكذلك تمكين هؤلاء الاساتذه والاستاذات من تداريب ميدانيه في هذا المجال لجعلهم اكثر درايه وقدره على دمج مفاهيم ومبادئ التنميه المستدامه في سياقات التدريس والأنشطة من خلال الأندية البيئية التي تتواجد على مستوى المؤسسات التعليمية والتي يؤطرها أساتذة والأستاذات، ولكن الفاعل الأساسي فيها هما الشباب التلاميذ، وكذلك مجموع من الخرجات الميدانية. المدخل الثالث يتعلق بتفعيل برامج الشراكات والتعاون التي في إطار هذه الشراكات يعني هناك مجموعة من المتدخلين وعلى رأسهم شريكنا الأساسي هو مؤسسة محمد السادس لحماية البيئة بمجموعة من الأنشطة والبرامج التي سنراها بعد قليل الأساسية في هذا المجال. ثم المدخل الرابع هو المساهمة في المبادرات، مجموعة من المبادرات التي تساهم فيها الوزارة، من بين هي مبادرات حكومية وغير حكومية على المستوى الوطني وكذلك الدولي، والحرص على تخصيص مسابقات تربوية على المستويات المحلية انطلاقا من المؤسسات التعليمية المدارس والجهوية والوطنية للتنافس والتباري في مجال تنظيم إبداعات فنية وابتكارات عملية في مجال المحافظة على البيئة وطرق إدماج التنمية المستدامة. كما سلف وتطرقت على ان المساهم الرئيسي بالنسبه لهذا الادماج هذه مبادئ التنميه والمستدامه في منظومه التربيه والتكوين تم بمساهم رئيسي الذي لولاه يعني كانت الامور ستكون يعني الى حد ما يعني خجوله، ولكن بفضل مؤسسه محمد السادس حمايه البيئه التي حدثت في شهر يونيو 2001 بمبادره صاحب جلاله الملك محمد السادس نصره الله، وقد اوكلت رئاسه الفعليه الى صاحبه السمو الملكي الاميره الجليله لاله الحسناء. هذه المؤسسات تمثل مهمتها الاساسيه في التربيه والتحسيس بالتنميه والمستدامه، كما انها تعمل في اعداد اجيال الغد لحمايه اطار عيشهم واتباع نهج التنميه المستدامه، وكذلك تتعبأ هذه المؤسسه من اجل البيئه تخدم المصلحه العامه وتسعى من خلال ذلك الى تعزيز التضامن وادماج الجميع، كما انها تنخرط في برنامج الامم المتحده واهدافه للتنميه المستدامه في 2030 الاتحاد الافريقي لعام 2063. مع محمد السادس لحمايه البيئه تتجلى على مع منظومه التربيه والبرامج الاساسيه. البرنامج الاول هو مدارس المدارس الايكولوجيه المؤسسه الى المملكه المغربيه ابتداء من 2006، وهو بالمناسبه برنامج يعني للمؤسسه الدوليه للتربيه البيئيه التي تحضر معنا ممثلتها السيده كريستينا. هذا البرنامج الدولي الذي هو موجه الى تلاميذ المدارس الابتدائيه الذي يهدف الى توعيه هؤلاء التلاميذ بالقضايا البيئيه من خلال تشجيع مشاركتهم في البرنامج واتاحه انفتاحهم على المجال وخلق روابط بين الدروس المقدمه في اطار 7 محاور، 3 منها رئيسيه تتعلق بالمحافظه على الماء، ترشيد استهلاك الطاقه، ثم تدبير جيد النفايات. كحصيله على مستوى المملكه المغربيه تم يعني توعيه التلاميذ بالقضايا البيئيه لاكثر من 1,200,000 تلميذ يعني منخرط بصفه مباشره في هذا البرنامج، واكثر من 37,000 استاذ يعني منخرط ويتم تكوينه كل سنه. بالنسبه للبرنامج الصحفي والشباب هو ايضا برنامج تابع للمنظمه الدوليه للتربيه البيئيه. هذا البرنامج هو مخصص للتلاميذ الثانوي يعني الاعدادي والتاهيلي، والذي يتم فيه تحديد الإشكالية المحلية وربطها بأهداف التنمية والمستدامة وتسليط الضوء على بعض الحلول الكفيلة بمعالجة رهانات المحددة ونشر الريبورتاج محليا، وذلك من خلال إما ريبورتاج كتابي أو مصور أو صورة فوتوغرافية. الآن كحصيلة عندنا مشاركة أكثر من 34,000 تلميذ من المؤسسات الإعدادية والتأهيلية في البرنامج الصحفي والشباب. وكما تلاحظون اليوم يعني في هذا المؤتمر يعني كانت كبادرة من المؤسسة أن يكون هناك ممثل لهؤلاء التلاميذ، يعني ممثل من كل جهه من 12 جهه من المملكه يعني كحاضر في هذا المؤتمر للاطلاع والمبادرات، وكذلك للتقاسم ان شاء الله فيما بعد عند العوده الى المملكه المغربيه مع زملائهم واطلاعهم على اجواء المؤتمر وكل المبادرات وكذلك اللقاءات التي قاموا بها مع مجموعه من الفاعلين كانوا سياسيين وخبراء وغيرهم. البرنامج الثالث هو برنامج يسمى التعويض الطوعي للكربون، والذي يهدف الى تشجيع المؤسسات على تقليص انبعاث ثاني اكسيد الكربون من خلال تجهيز المدارس الابتدائيه القرويه ودور المعلمين بالواح الشمسيه للاضاءه وتشغيل الاجهزه الكهربائيه، وكذلك تجهيز الاقسام بمصابيح اقتصاديه، وذلك لنقص انبعاثات ثاني اكسيد الكربون. يتم تجهيز كل اكثر من 6 مؤسسه كل سنه قرويه. هذه السنه تم تجهيز 630 مؤسسه. بالنسبه للبرنامج الرابع هو برنامج يعني تم احداث تقريبا الابتداء فيه من 2019. هذا البرنامج هو بشراكه مع اليونسكو، منظمه اليونسكو، الذي تناول مفهوم التعليم من اجل التنميه المستدامه ومهارات القرن ال21 وتحديد خريطه للكفاءات الاساسيه وفقا للتوجهات الاستراتيجيه للدوله من مرحله ما قبل المدرسه يعني التعليم الاولي الى حدود الصف الثاني عشر، هو صف البكالوريا يعني اخر صف بالنسبه للتربيه الوطنيه. تم الان تحليل ورسم اكثر من 284 كتابا مدرسيا ل 12 مستوى دراسي، كما تم اطلاق دراسه حالات كانت حاله فيها كليه جانب كلي وكذلك جانب جزئي. يعني بمعرض الحديث عن منظمه اليونسكو نشكر السيده كراميلا التي تحدث كممثله لهذه المنظمه، يعني ان قمنا مؤخرا بتوصيه من منظمه اليونسكو باحداث لجنه وطنيه من اجل مبادرات التنميه من اجل التنميه المستدامه تضم مجموعه من الفاعلين الوطنيين، اساسا وزاره التربيه الوطنيه، ثم مؤسسه محمد السادس لحمايه البيئه، كذلك وزاره الانتقال الطاقي والتنميه المستدامه، ثم المؤسسه المغربيه للنهوض بالتعليم الاولي، وزاره الشباب والثقافه والتواصل يعني قطاع الشباب، ثم وزاره التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي والابتكار. ختاما يعني هناك 3 نقاط اساسيه من التجربه المغربيه من خلال ادماج او مجال التنميه المستدامه في المنظومه التربيه والتكوين. يعني يبدو انه كان نقاط رافعه وايجابيه بالنسبه لهذا الادماج. يبتدئ اولا كون المغرب يعني يتوفر على مؤسسه وطنيه شريكه التي تمثل في هذه الشراكه المتميزه والنموذجيه التي تجمع بين مؤسسه محمد السادس لحمايه البيئه ووزاره التربيه الوطنيه، والتي تعتبر القاطره وكذلك الرافعه والقاطره المحركه والرافع والمسرعه لادماج المبادئ التنميه المستدامه في التعليم. كذلك بالنسبه لكون خلق يعني فضاء وبنيه تربويه في المؤسسات التعليميه تعنى خاصه بهذا المجال هي ارساء الانديه التربويه والبيئيه بالمدارس من اجل تقويه معارف المتعلمين والمتعلمات، وكذلك مساعدتهم على بلوره افكارهم والقيام بمبادرات ومشاريع جديده مبتكره في مجالات تتعلق بالاستقلال المعقل للماء، اعاده التدوير والتخلص السليم من النفايات وباعاده استعمالها والترشيد الطاقي. اخيرا هناك يعني مجموعه من المنافسات والمسابقات التربويه التي يتم تنظيمها على مستوى المحلي، يعني انطلاقا من المدارس والمؤسسات التعليميه وكذلك على مستوى العملات والمقاطعات وكذلك جهويا ثم وطنيا للتنافس والتباري في مجال تقديم ابداعات فنيه وابتكارات عمليه في مجال المحافظه على البيئه وطرق التنميه المستدامه. شكرا جزيلا لكم.
شكرا جزيلا يا أستاذ. We're now going to move to our next speaker, dear Aisha. I have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind. My first question would be, if you could share with us some examples of successful sustainable initiatives that have been implemented in Abu Dhabi, and what impact have they had on the community and the environment? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you with our partners, Mohammed VI Foundation. So basically, the United Arab Emirates has extensive projects that are youth-led or that are government-led, and the Environment Agency Abu Dhabi has been working on environmental education programs since 1998. So this is more than 2 decades. Basically, we started off with a small bus that used to go around schools, and the bus had native flora and fauna and stored in cultures, and it went to each school to show the kids. So it was a fascinating experience. for kids during that time. And then it got progressed until 2001, a new project which was launched. It was Envirus Peloton, which are eco-literacy booklets. Started off with the booklets. Uh, each booklet talked about different topic like waste management, climate change, and all these topics were part of a series of levels from kindergarten until grade 7. And this year we have launched a new edition, which is level 7, and it's for grade 7. It talks about climate change. And it goes with the theme of UAE hosting COP28 and sustainability year. Another project is Sustainable Schools Initiative, which was launched in 2009. It includes all the school community, including the staff, including the school students, including their parents also, giving them training, outreach training, giving them opportunities for field trips. As you know, that Environment Agency Abu Dhabi has more than 13 protected areas. So we give the chances for safe protected areas to be field trip sites for school students. As well as eco clubs. We facilitate their eco clubs. We support them in developing eco clubs at school, giving them training to do outreach for the local community. If there is any local issue, they do influence experts and fishermen, farmers. They have this influence as children, and they do influence their houses also, because some parents come to us and tell us, what did you tell our children? Because they come to us and tell us we should recycle, we should do this, we should do this. So we see a lot of influence, with the parents. Another thing is sustainable campus initiative, which was launched in 2014 and still ongoing. We do have around 26 universities now with us. Regarding the school, this year we have around 460 schools joining us. And this is to sum up all the programs. And we do have youth-led programs, Green Youth Majlis. I'd like to mention this number because this year our leadership has emphasized on environment and sustainability due to UAE hosting COP. And this is the sustainability year. A new information is in the UAE, we do have themed years. So last year was, I think, tolerance. This year is sustainability year. So there has been a lot of work from our end, and youth have been so much interested. The number of youth programs or the number of youth that are in our programs, one of our programs was 178 youth, and this year around 600 youth. So the number has tripled, and it's really good to to share these insights.
Well, thank you. Thank you for these amazing results. Congratulations. Congratulations. So we focused on achievements as one should, but what kind of challenges have you also encountered when it comes to this type of initiatives?
Okay, so basically, we had this challenge on yearly basis. A third party does a survey to the community. They ask the public, what is your level of awareness and what is your level of action in terms of environment sustainability? So we have nothing to do with the survey. Okay, this is the ministry does that. So it turned out to be previously, like 3-4 years ago, the level of awareness is so high, but the level of action is low. So we needed to do something regarding this. So we have developed a program, an application called Badr application, to integrate to help people live a sustainable lifestyle and support them in terms of sustainability. Majority of people do not know or do not know what to do on daily basis to become sustainable. So this is like a guideline for them to be sustainable, as well as earn points. You know that people like earning points and gamification. So this is an initiative that we have done. Another thing is the fact that we could not get as much data of what impact do we do. So basically, we do surveys, but what have we done is that in each session we do a pre-session survey and then a post-session survey to see if people grasped the information, if people took the information and they have understood it. Another challenge is the fact that the low count of youth. It was previously like 178. We needed to increase a lot more. So what we did is we have introduced us giving youth all the authority, almost all the authority, and our role was to guide them and to support them. So this has made a huge difference. Giving them a responsibility of something will uh, most probably be more successful than us giving them spoon feeding them or giving them the step 1, 2, 3 of what to do. So we just give them the overview. We know that youth nowadays are more intellectual than before, so they can, if you just, you know, give them like push them in the water, they will be able to swim, you know.
Okay, and swim we shall. Thank you very much. Thank you for these remarks. And I couldn't help but notice that Zainab was nodding a lot while you were speaking. I think she was approving, particularly about the part about giving power and authority. She was nodding really hard. We'll get to back a bit later. Before that, let's go to Manon. And we heard already some information about the UNESCO Youth Climate Action Network, known in short as UCAN. So I would assume that you can explain a bit how you can collaborate with other youth networks, NGOs, and international organizations to strengthen the global youth movement for climate action. Thank you. Where is yours?
Thank you very much. So our ADG just introduced a little bit, but maybe now I can tell you what it is exactly and how it came out. So basically, UCAN was born from an observation of the trend at the international level, seeing flourishing so many youth-led networks worldwide, acting in their own loop, in their own silo, and not necessarily achieving a full impact because they were lacking resources, they were lacking networking, they were lacking some support. So in this, UNESCO reflected, okay, what can we do? And the idea of the network came in as an idea of connecting them so that they can share the experience between each other, but also strengthen and build bridges between the grassroots level with UNESCO action and expertise so that we can together scale up the impact of the youth-led initiatives. Now, the network has been established since 2019, and we have now more than 100,000 youth worldwide, comprising, the different networks that we have. We have 28 networks, including the African Youth Climate Hub, supported by the Mohammed VI Foundation for the Environmental Protection. And we are very glad that this is flourishing. We have just opened the membership of the network to welcome even more members during the 13 Youth Forum 3 weeks ago. So we really expect much more members and much more outreach in the coming months and years. Now, in terms of what it is, the network focuses on 4 thematic areas which relate to UNESCO's mandate. So in terms of education, sciences, culture and communication for climate action, leveraging the expertise of UNESCO and of the youth network to actually develop meaningful initiative together. So how it acts is based on 3 axes. The first one is, and the main idea is, we should not reinvent the wheel and we should not duplicate what is already existing. To this end, we have led a big mapping 2 years ago on the existing youth-led networks worldwide, and we found back then that more than 700 youth-led networks on climate change were already existing, acting in different areas connected more or less with UNESCO expertise. And based on this, the youth themselves designed the network with 3 main steps. For them, the first axis is to strengthen what is already existing. And for this, the UCA network contribute, for example, to what is already ongoing. And this could be, we have an example with one initiative with the Sciences Po University in the context of the UNESCO Declaration on the Ethical Principle for Climate Change. They are developing a capacity building tool for the implementation of this declaration. So it is very interesting, and they are not acting, separately, but together with the youth from the Sciences Po University, for example. But otherwise, they are also co-creating, and this is where I link up to our African Youth Climate Hub. They can also come in with new ideas, building on UNESCO expertise, for example, on sustaining youth-led research and the great outreach and expertise of the foundation and the hub. They came together with a new idea that we are currently developing for the new period, for example, of building youth-led research on climate change for the Africa continent as a full Africa-led project. So it is a very interesting one that can be inspired and supported by both UNESCO expertise and the hub experience. So we are really looking forward for it, and this is a bit what we can do in a nutshell. So strengthening what is existing, but also co-creating together with the networks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, in the same spirit as the question I asked previously, we talked about achievement, what we can do. What about challenges in terms of the network, and what do you do to address those challenges? Thank you.
Well, the question of the challenge is always a difficult one because we can see so many and so many solutions at the same time. So one first that came into my mind is the fact that UCAN is a multidisciplinary network bringing educators, scientists, artists, so many field of expertise together for developing new activities, new projects together is a blessing, but it is also a big challenge because coordinating so many different backgrounds and expertises and cultural diversity as well is not always easy, especially with working remotely for the young people. They cannot always meet because we don't necessarily have the funding to bring them on site regularly, but they are doing it because they are finding their way. And this is something that I learned from my 4 years with UNESCO is there is nothing more easy than working with young people. They are so motivated, determined, and they find their solution. UCAN was actually built during COVID-19, and we are here at the COP28 now with something very reliable, fully functioning. So the diversity is now with something very reliable, fully functioning. So the diversity is at the same time a challenge and a bless. And I would say the second challenge is the financing. And for this, I will not repeat what our ADG presented in the beginning, but one of the strengths and the added value of UCAN is that it is supported and backseated by UNESCO. So it can build upon the tools that UNESCO has, such as the UNESCO Global Youth Grant Scheme that has been presented earlier, or several, let's say, technical expertise, for example, to apply to grant, to apply to fundraising, which is not accessible necessarily to all young people, to all youth network. And together with UNESCO, this is something that we can offer. We can support them in building their proposal, in reaching the right partners. And this is something that you can help for.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contributions. We heard about an international organization in terms of its engagement and support, and I quote, "Nothing is as easy as working with youth." And I'm sure this word will connect quite well to another high-level representative from an international organization. Diana, my next question will be to you. Pass the mic along. Thank you very much. So how does the IUCN Commission on Education and Communication promote youth involvement in climate action and foster intergenerational partnerships to advance and address environmental challenges?
Thank you very much for inviting me in the first place. It's a second opportunity speaking up with the foundation, and I really being here. I have to say there's a lot of work on youth, and it really takes 3 people. In fact, in our commission, I am a co-chair together with 2 more people, Marie-Philippe Olet and Kenza Khalafi, who's also representing the foundation, working on youth and intergenerational partnerships. Is this intergenerational partnerships component that is as important as youth empowerment and engagement. And there is much beauty and magic really happening when different generations are engaged in making sure that youth has a meaningful experience and is engaged meaningfully within IUCN structures and in Commission on Education and Communication particularly. In fact, youth and intergenerational partnerships is one of the strategic priorities in the Commission, and supporting the youth strategy of IUCN overall, CEC is also working on the points that are identified in the youth strategy of the Union, and that is, in very simple, short words, making sure that there are entry points and possibilities for young professionals to join the commission, ensuring that this experience within the commission is meaningful by empowering youth, young professionals. In fact, on the steering committee of the commission, there is a number of young professionals, not only me myself, but I guess some 5, 6 more people in such high roles as steering committee positions. Also, we work on making sure there are some educational products that allow capacity building and support of meaningful youth engagement. If we think about events like COP, imagine having a young professional, a youth, maybe even a minor attending an event. It's overwhelming, it's complex, it's a lot of information. People talk in silos, there is difficult terminology, and you can imagine that for a young person, it can be a little too much. So for that experience not to be a museum when they just look around and, are seeing flashy, beautiful designs and infrastructure, but to actually meaningfully participate, we have created a guide on what we call youth oasis, as in spaces for youth at events, large conferences, if you wish, that allow youth to participate meaningfully, for them to be prepared, for them to be included, those tips and on guidance, how to make such spaces, how to make sure that participation at such events for young professionals is actually meaningful and allows them to contribute, is helpful. And so this educational document is going to be very soon published for consultations and also for public access by the commission. And it is created exactly so that very many organizations, individual members of our commissions and other commissions truly globally could have access to this document and use it in their own organizations, different parts of the world, by allowing youth to participate meaningfully. Um, Another way is really making sure that this works, all these points in the guideline at the events that are happening in IUCN. IUCN is a union that operates on 4-year cycle. There are regional conservation forums that happen a year before the World Congress. One is going to take place in 2025 in Abu Dhabi. A year preceding the World Congress next year is regional conservation forums. Guess what? Young professionals are going to be attending those across the globe. So we're putting an effort to make sure that in those regional forums, there will be something on agenda for youth, not only concerning the issues that youth identifies, but also making sure that young people are engaged meaningfully in those activities and events, that their representation at those high-level events within IUCN structure is actually taking place and is meaningful and genuinely, youth engaging. So some of these examples maybe.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you for those examples. And my follow-up questions would be, you have a transversal perspective on many environmental initiatives. From your perspective, what are some key successes in those initiatives? You already spoke a bit about that, but if you could build on that, and how we can replicate the successes that you've personally contributed to or witnessed when it comes to that.
Within IUCN and
Of-
outside?
in
Yeah.
general, yeah.
Sure.
broad.
Thank you. Yes. There is much learning, not only intergenerationally, but also within youth. And you can imagine that sometimes we're biased and we think that in global north, west developing countries, they're more advances on certain topics. But in fact, I have encountered the situation when, UNFCCC has youth constituency Europe, and in Western Europe, from east and west of Europe, are coming together to organize hopefully one event for the whole Europe next year. So this learning from one another, openness to partnerships among youth, and really creating spaces, in my opinion, are super important. In IUCN, there was a beautiful example of making Global Youth Summit, 2-week online event. There is a very difficult situation with visas and fundraising for youth to attend. Young people are even more impacted by these limitations. So having that online event, fully accessible to everyone in every part of the world was really a best practice in my opinion. COVID had obviously some major negative effects, but that momentum of everyone being locked at home, working a lot, learning really how to use it to their own benefit, allowed to create that space for 2 weeks, intense trainings, intergenerational dialogues, a lot of learning and spotlighting the work of young people across the globe. Really was an unprecedented event and something to replicate in future, in my opinion. A lot of educational products that are created by IUCNCC, but also in general, this efforts by capacity building through educational products, through training programs, is something, in my opinion, super important to empower young people, for them to have the skills, even soft skills if you wish, not only technical understanding of topics, but those soft skills that allow them to feel confident and empowered to really be not only as observers, but contribute meaningfully. And that is something also that is happening across the globe. There are many beautiful capacity building programs and projects taking place in different youth organizations and non-youth organizations. And there's a beautiful learning opportunity in replicating many of these programs globally. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we're going to explore that nodding a bit that we saw earlier. As a representative from the African Youth Climate Hub, as your own advocate when it comes to youth climate action, could you say a bit more about why it matters to have this type of initiatives? How are they transformational? What kind of impact do they have? Thank you.
Thank you, Ayman. I'll give you the short and the longer answer. The short answer is simply because today, when we're talking about Africa in general, more than 60% of African population is youth. Neglecting 60% of the population means neglecting the majority. That is your short answer on why it matters. The facts are there. I think on the longer answer is, and I think a lot of you touched upon it, it's easy to work with youth. When it comes to intergenerational co-leadership, it's young people have a certain type of expertise that we don't find everywhere. Yeah. And like you said, when we give them a platform, they do great work, and that's why it matters. I think today young people do not want a seat at the table, and I will challenge you a little bit on that conversation of wanting a seat at the table. We want to help you build that table. We want to even push forward and have us not only speak at conferences or have us as people who come and attend those conferences, but we really want to a certain extent, the privilege and the positions that will allow us to come and talk to you and tell you our needs and our own struggles, because as you already know, young people do not have the same struggles as everyone. Especially young people from marginalized communities, they face another reality. And something that in my line of work, you told me, why are you calling yourself a creative strategist? I think that the climate crisis is the story we have failed to tell. We have far too often neglected seeing it from a global perspective, and we tend to focus on different topics on silos. Even when it comes to COP, we talk about Finance Day, Energy Day, Youth Day, and I think all of these are interconnected, and we need to see them from a global perspective and see how they affect both younger and older people, from children to old folks. And that's why I think that young people, including them in these conversations, is very important. On the other hand, I'll talk about the African Youth Climate Hub because I'm here representing them. I think that programs like the African Youth Climate Hub is what gives us as young people the space to come here and make our voices heard. Today, thanks to the Climate Youth Hub, I'm here, and a lot of other African youths are here to represent our voices and our needs. Today, we have more than 10,000 people involved in the African Youth Climate Hub, over 220 projects, and I know, Ayman, you're very involved and you know the amazing work that's being done. And that work is like the butterfly effect. Helping one young person can help you raise awareness about it. So when I know more about climate justice, I can talk about it to my friend, and my friends can talk about it to their friends. And we have systemic change in the long term, and that's why it's so important to include young African voices in these conversations. Today, also something else that I wanted to touch upon, Africa is one of the continents that least impact climate crisis. We don't emit a lot of global like carbon emissions, but we are the most affected, and that's why it's so important to give us the space to talk about our own realities and to push forward the narrative. That will be my answer for your first question, and I have some more thoughts on the second one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And wow, that was great. And I have to say, I kept referring how you were nodding when the other speakers were speaking. But as you were speaking, I also saw a lot of nodding and support and connection to what you were saying and discussing. So one of the points that you raised was you don't just want to be at the table. You want to contribute to building the table. So that would be one of the hope of the future that you may have. Could you build on that and share with us other hopes in the future? And also, I wanted to refer to something that you said about how important the butterfly effect is in terms of being informed and sharing that information. That reminded me what Aisha was telling us about the children that then talk to their parents, and then the parents are like, "Why did you tell our children?" But we told them good stuff. We told them great things about the environment and sustainable development. So, in terms of hope for the future, could you build on that a bit? Thank you.
Yes, of course. I think my hope for the future is that we develop more of these spaces where young people's voices are being platformed, and specifically when it comes to intergenerational collaboration. And I will also challenge that. And I would say it's intergenerational co-leadership. We want to be leaders in those spaces and not only be present in those spaces, as I said. And I think that something else that is really one of my biggest hopes for the future of climate action is when it comes to intersectionality. Today, we talk about the climate crisis as its own issue, as its own social issue, whereas the climate crisis is a feminist issue, it is a people's issue, it is an indigenous people's issue, it is an issue that affects every single community out there, and we should also see it from that lens. Here recently, I've been talking to a lot of people coming to COP, and one of my most impactful conversations I've had is with Collins. He is the co-founder of Slow Factory. It is a platform online that that pushes people to rethink what does climate action look like from a systemic point of view.
Yeah.
How can we change systems to advance climate action? And he told me that for him, the answer to the climate crisis is full spectrum resistance. And what is full spectrum resistance? That word sounded very fancy, and I asked him what does it look like, what it is. And he told me that it entails that today, in order to solve the climate crisis, we don't only need businesses, we don't only need the government, we don't only need young people, we need artists, storytellers, journalists, architects, we need engineers. We really need to work all together and really see it from a global perspective of intersectionality. Because while the artists tell us the story of what this climate crisis looks like, we have businesses who will invest in those journalists and those young people to come and tell their voices. While those young people come and tell their voices, we need to work also with governments to change the policies that will allow us to advance climate action. And that's why I want us and challenge everyone today here to think about what does full spectrum resistance looks like in your own field, and how can you bring other voices of not only young people, but from all diverse perspectives, because we all have our own stories, we all have our different realities, and that's what gives us different skills that we can contribute to. Another thing that I wanted to touch upon is that the climate crisis today is a social justice issue. We can no longer talk about the climate crisis without talking about gender equality. We can no longer talk about water crisis without the liberation of Palestinian people. We can no longer talk about climate justice without talking about people justice, because justice needs to be defined first. When we're speaking about climate justice, it's far broader than that. And I think that it's really important to understand that today there's a power in our collective, and that we as people can create change. There's a lot of doom and gloom when it comes to COP. We hear a lot of negative talk, but today, as the young person who's hopefully optimistic in this speech, I want us to push forward more hope and more resistance and radical imagination to allow ourselves to imagine a better, brighter future. Because there's always catharsis in our unicity, and we can create a lot of good change if we can bring everyone into the room and talk to everyone. And I'll leave it with one sentence. When we're talking about young people, please do not talk to us. Do not talk about us. Give us a platform and let us tell our own stories.
Thank you.
you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I think Diana was connecting very much to what you were saying from the communication and perspective, and you were touching upon a lot of important components of what you were discussing, and what I know you're working on in nature positive and nature. Is it nature positive, the actual term, or it was nature? The nature. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nature-based education. I know Sean was referring that to me previously. So, sorry, let me open that. Yeah. So, Marta, you're high-level representative of the Youth for Sustainability Initiative with MASTA. But as I promised before, if you could take some moments to introduce yourself a bit more. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. So my name is Marta. I'm an anthropologist.
Okay.
I'm here as part of the Masdar Future Sustainability Leaders Program. I'm also here as the youth delegate of my country, Republic of Serbia, and also as an associate fellow of the World Academy of Arts and Science. So I'm here in multiple roles.
Yeah.
But here today, I would like to focus on the program Youth for Sustainability, which is a global initiative by Masdar.
Okay.
Which seeks to empower the next generation of sustainability leaders. So this program has two aspects, two sections. One is for youth that is up to the age of 18. This is the sustainability ambassadors, and the other part is for the 18 plus youth, which is called Future Sustainability Leaders.
Okay.
So both of these programs have gathered so far more than 600 youth, which engage in this one-year program, which follows up with knowledge, skill development, and opportunities, which allow us to engage with concrete sustainability problems and allow us to engage in real-world experience and creative solution seeking and problem solving opportunities. Masdar has also another initiative which I would like to mention, which is for women empowerment. So for empowering the entrepreneurial spirit of women. It's called WISER. So women in sustainability, environment, and renewable energy. One part of this program is present now at COP. It's the Arab Women Leadership Program, which has been co-hosted by WISER, and it really seeks to highlight the importance of gender equality for tackling the climate change crisis. So what is special about the Youth for Sustainability program, and why you should invite your friends and youth colleagues or acquaintances, is because this is really a program that aims to empower youth to concretely engage in problem resolution. So we really have projects. We have we have upskilling, we have lectures, we have opportunities to engage with industry experts, with government officials, And we have the opportunity to go on field and experience the problem solving in reality. So concretely, what we do during COP28 is we have the whole program during the whole COP, but especially we have the climate talks, so the Y4S climate talks. We have the Y4S forum, where Masdar has really invested a lot of effort to bring the industry experts and the government officials for us to engage with them, and for us not to just discuss with them during a panel, but it's a really an interactive workshops all through the COP time. And finally, we have this Innovate for Climate Change competition, which, well, I have to say I'm proud my team won this year.
Woohoo! Congratulations!
So I will give you a concrete example on what we proposed in our team. So our team project is called ANMA, which you know better than me, but it represents stability, peace. How would you translate exactly the word ANMA? Yes, emotional presence piece. So what we did is we tried to find a solution for the greenhouse gas emissions which come from the energy sector. And because more than 33% of the greenhouse gas emissions from the energy sector are actually from residential use of energy. So the key to our project and to our kind of problem solving is the fact that we realized through research, of course, that the predictions of energy consumption do not meet the actual outcome of energy consumption. So our strategy is to reward the efficient energy use, but by attributing this is the project to be by attributing so-called green points to those who use energy efficiently, which result in turn in lower bills, energy bills for the consumers in residential areas, and also in lowering the greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a very practical solution, and Mazar has given us this opportunity to really conceptualize this idea from scratch. We didn't even know each other. And now it's 5 of us really going on with this project. And so we have support in terms of consulting, knowledge building, upskilling, and really relating us with the industry experts. So they're there for whatever. Up till now, really, they have been 100% support. Whatever we ask in terms of support, the Y4S has provided for us, and I'm really proud to be part of this program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's beautiful to see already so many beautiful examples of leadership from our sisters and brothers from the UAE in terms of what they bring to the table, in terms of how they empower youth. So very, very impressive in terms of leadership. Thank you. So my follow-up question to your presentation will be, again, in the spirit of the building the table, as was discussing previously. How do you see the network, beyond the important work that you've already discussed, contribute to making sure that youth is not included as part of tokenism, but is actually powerfully engaged and empowered to help build and design first, and then build that table?
I think that all the social challenges that we're tackling today have 2 problems. One is that they're not understood on a personal level. And the second one is that every problem is looked at, it really relates to what you said, that every problem is looked as separate. We do not see their interrelatedness. So when we address climate change, for example, we don't have medical doctors doing propaganda on climate change. We have, but it's really in small proportions. I think so. It's 2 things. One is to be able to let the wider public understand that the problems that we're dealing here are not important only to us, but to every person on this planet. So to give it a personal touch somehow. And the other thing is really to understand the interrelatedness of all the issues.
Excellent, thank you. And in terms of interlinkedness and interrelation, let's interlink with the audience at this stage and see what kind of comments or questions or experiences they would like to share. So what I'll do is I'll grab a microphone. I'll be walking around the table. If you'd like to intervene, raise your hand. I already see somebody. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So if you could briefly introduce yourself and then share with us what you share with us. Thank
Yes.
you.
So my name is Adam Yakubu. I'm from Ghana with my
Listen.
colleague. She's Anita. We are youth climate negotiators from Ghana, and we each sit in the negotiation rooms on behalf of the government of Ghana. We got the opportunity to be trained by the Youth Climate Council Ghana as youth negotiators. Unlike you had 2 weeks for training, we just had 4 days to understand the whole core processes, understand how the drafts are being drafted, how the text is being edited, and what goes into what you shouldn't say, and all that. And sitting in here, I work with a policy organization. So when I was coming, my expectation was to join the Just Transition, but I was asked to actually go for finance because that is where my country has a very weak foot. So I was put to join the country's finance representation, and it's been great because I've actually seen a lot of angles to the whole decision-making process that a lot of young people obviously do not get the chance to see. We have a lot of young people who have come here. They wouldn't probably have the opportunity to sit in the negotiation rooms and actually see what the COP process is like. They would only read about it. They will go to see the picture somewhere and they'll be like, yeah, I was there, but I didn't see this. Yeah, so I think that, like you said, I want to side with you. We do not want young people to be talked about. Young people should be allowed to discuss themselves. Let them sit on the table and let their voices be heard. That's all what young people are asking for, and I don't think that is too much. Right? So let us come to the table and let us discuss with you. Don't assume that young people need this and they will need that, and because they are young, they are Gen Z, they will want to have all that. I think that this is what young people actually need. Give us an opportunity to actually see how the decision-making processes are done. For now, I don't sit as the lead, but I sit behind a lead negotiator. When something comes up and he thinks I don't understand, he will quickly draw back. Okay, as you are seeing, this is what is happening at this moment. This is what is being discussed. And I think that would make me a great negotiator someday. And that is how we groom and that is how we train young people. But if you keep us away, then you design the process for us, then you come and infuse it on us, you actually be mistaken because you would think that this would work for us and it actually wouldn't work for us. I think this is an sitting here, I think we've subscribed to a lot of the different organizations that come up because these are learning platforms. The experiences are different, the energies are different, and so we think that wherever there is room to learn, wherever there's an opportunity to grow, we are ready for it. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I think that'd be music to the ears of many of the panelists and what they've shared. Any further reactions from the audience or the floor in terms of asking a question or sharing something that is connected to what we've heard so far? Or something that you don't agree with at all? It's okay. It's a place of exchange or debate. You don't believe in it. I don't know. That's okay as well. Anybody like to come in? I am not seeing anybody expressing a wish to intervene at this stage, so I think we'll be closing our side event shortly. What I'll do, therefore, is invite each of you for 1 minute in terms of closing remarks. If there's anything that you'd like to share, react to what the other panelists have said, what we've heard from the room, and then we close that. So I'll be checking. You have the microphone.
I will start first.
You're in control. There you go. Go ahead. Thank you.
Well, I will use my 1 minute to respond to what you said because I completely agree. As the youth delegate of my country, I have access to all the places where the negotiations happen, so I see how that happens. And it is true that it is not enough that we have the seat at the table because even if we have the seat, we don't know what to do. The negotiations are very technical. There's diplomats who are trained to do this for their whole lives, and it's very specific. You know, you have to know what you're doing when you're at the table, and we don't. If you put me at that table, I wouldn't know what to do. You know, So I feel that we need to be there, and we need to have this process of being trained and being able to actually. There's this hole between just sitting there and not knowing what to do and being there as a negotiator. We need to have these stepping stones. And this is, I really appreciate what you said.
I want to follow up to what you were saying as well. Thank you for your conversation. That what you said was resonates a lot. I think that I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I want to even add to it. I think that places like COP are very inaccessible. Unfortunately, a lot of people cannot come to COP because of funding, because of visa issues, because didn't get a badge. And I think that's also something that we should address. While it's amazing that we have a lot of young people here who are as delegates, and we should definitely be doing a lot of capacity building for them to help them and give them the right tools and keys to enter those spaces. I think that if anyone here has funding, you should definitely be investing in young people, because it's one thing saying that we want to include young people, and it's another thing that actually including and funding young people to come to these spaces and giving them the tools to do so. And it's really important for both businesses, companies, and policymakers to not only talk, but to walk their talk. And I'll leave you with that.
Thank you very much. And indeed, more inclusion is always very important, and means of implementation support will be very appreciated. However, as you challenged us, I would like to challenge one point you said. It was about visa, because I have to say the visa process from the UAE was very effective. I applied, I got it within 30 minutes. So I do have to say that.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I think that the UAE has done a great job of it.
Yeah.
I was thinking more so. I was thinking more so in terms of in general previous COPS editions that I've been to, and I don't want to name any countries, but it's been quite a challenge. So I definitely salute to the UAE for having it so quick. I got mine in like a few hours. So definitely great work in that.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to complete maybe what you just said, and to also respond to our friend from Ghana, I would like to share some good practice from the UCAN network. One of the UCAN network is actually the Young Negotiator Academy, and we just celebrated yesterday their 2 years completion. And I must say that I need to share that story because it's really what's happening in the youth space. They had this idea 2 years ago. So for young women, with a great idea of training young people to actually attend the table of negotiations, having this training and being able to negotiate with countries, of having the youth in the delegations. And almost everyone told them, "You're crazy. This will never work." 2 years after, they have just celebrated that second cohort with some of the result of the first cohort of last year. It worked so well that some of the youth from last year actually are now engaged with the ministry and have proper item to follow in the negotiation. How good practice is this? So they have this year more than 40 countries that have followed the program, and for the next years, what we want is even more countries following and engaging in that process of having young people at the table of negotiation. So it is done in a very concrete way, signing MOU with the countries. So it is, but I need to share that good practice because it's really impressive, and I'm very proud to have this network as part of the UCAN. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to explain to you what just happened, you saw a big flow coming into the room. Those are young reporters for the environment that have just finished their other activities. So welcome here. Welcome here. We have, according to the program, another 5 minutes in our event. So I'll invite you to be as brief as you possibly can so that one of them can have 1 minute to close off officially the event. And I'll be inviting Morjana, who was supposed to have my role,
to do that. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. To be honest, I agree with you with your comment because last year I went to the negotiation. I just entered, slept in with one of the experts. He was teaching us stuff, and it was really inspiring to see what goes around, you know. And it was really inspiring to see what goes around, you know. And I'm really fortunate enough to see what happened during that time. So it's a good experience. I agree with you that everyone should be exposed to this experience. Another thing, on a different side note, next year, January 20th, we are hosting the World Environmental Education Congress.
Inshallah.
And I'm leading the youth part. I'm telling you, it's going to be exceptional. And I hope to see you all there. If you want to know more information, you can visit the website www.weec.org and just browse through it. And if you have any questions, you can contact us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the foundation is very happy to be engaging in that space. And we hosted an edition a few years ago in Marrakesh.
I'd like to say that thank you so much for the support.
Pleasure.
We continuously network regarding these two, congresses and
Yes,
stuff
yes.
like this. So thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you. تفضل سيدي.
شكرا جزيلا. ايضا سعدت بالمشاركه في هذا اللقاء الذي ضم متدخلات شابات واعطونا يعني الكثير من المسائل الايجابيه التي سنعتمد عليها، وخاصه مساله التشبيك بين الشباب اللي هي مساله ايجابيه ورائده. يعني بالنسبه للشباب يعني الفتره اللي مساله التشبيك بين الشباب اللي هي مساله ايجابيه ورائده. يعني بالنسبه للشباب يعني الفتره اللي فيها الكثير من الطموح والطاقات التي يجب استثمارها فيما هو ايجابي خدمه يعني السلام البشريه جمعاء. الاكيد على اننا على مستوى وزاره التربيه الوطنيه سنعطي اكثر اهتمام للجانب تقويه المهارات الحياتيه لدى الشباب، خاصه التواصل التفاوض يعني التفكير النقدي من اجل يعني دفع هؤلاء الشباب الى مستقبل افضل، وكذلك المساهمه يعني الايجابيه في صناعه القرار، وخاصه في كل ما هو يخدم البشريه والسلام بصفه عامه. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm a millennial, and when we talk about intergenerational partnerships, there is also a bit of an intergenerational difference between Gen Zers and millennials. And I've been around for some while to know that some 10 years ago, when I graduated university, all of these opportunities were not really accessible, especially in my part of the world. I'm Ukrainian, coming from Eastern Europe. Very many things are still not accessible there. And let's be very frank, being here is a privilege. I was at SB earlier this year. I was so surprised that there were so many young people at SB. Subsidiary body conference is even more technical. So having the badge, having the opportunities to observe it, to follow, to be aware of the latest developments is fantastic. And having that energy of appreciation and fully aware of how lucky we are, I would probably ask us to all invite us to consider putting that energy in ourselves, building those spaces where use is elevated, where we put spotlight on the work of young people just like us, other young professionals, really making sure that this work is even more visible to everyone. And one more thing, probably my duty, if you wish, as a regional vice chair for Western Europe at IUCN Commission on Education and Communication, is really to ask you, how many of you are members of IUCN commissions? There are 7, and there is definitely a place at the table for all the young people and everyone intergenerationally to join the commissions and to be part of a beautiful IUCN family, learning and being very much welcome, including young people, including young professionals. So I really invite you to join the commissions and follow the work that is being done on youth by the union. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Diana. So first of all, I'm going to present myself since I just attended. So my name is Marjana Zinam Khush. I'm a 16-year-old high school student, and I'm a young reporter for the environment program implemented by the Mohammed VI Foundation, chaired by Her Royal Highness, the Princess Al Hasna. And which is why I'm just telling you that I'm really sorry for not attending, for not moderating this side event, because actually we were with her as young reporters for the environment We had the amazing honor to meet her for the second time during this COP. So this is why I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend. But thank you all for attending. It's an immense honor, and I really hope that your side event was as amazing as I would have hoped for it to be. And thank you very much. I hope your flight was amazing. I hope you will go back home safe, and I hope this COP for you is amazing as much as it is for me right now. I think the foundation for providing me with such an opportunity today, because us youth, we need to have the voice, we need to step up and take action, and it is such an honor for me to be here today and talk on the behalf of my fellow colleagues from the 12 regions of Morocco, and as a woman, as an African woman. Thank you so much for attending, and it is really important for us to be heard. And this is why the YRE program is really important. And thank you so much for listening to me today. Thank you so much.